Hello, welcome to Gipsy TV. Today I'm going to be paying tribute to the King of the Gypsies, yeah. So many people lay claim to King of the Gypsies, yeah. And can they really all be King of the Gypsies? But let me explain. When I bring this man in focus, this gentleman, I promise you faithfully, you will know why he had a great argument to be King of the Gypsies of his day. Yes, I'm going to pay tribute to the late, great Les Stevens. Les Stevens, born in 1951. A man out from Reading. He started his amateur boxing career as a boy under the guidance of Ron Bastin. He's very close friends with the great Johnny Frankham, and they're at the same stable. And they travelled around, multiple countries representing England. In 1970, he actually represented Great Britain in the Commonwealth Games. Yeah. So out there, actually represented England in the Commonwealth Games. So right out there, leading amateur. 1971, his finest hour became as an amateur when he lifted the ABA National Heavyweight Championship. So right up there is tip to even be an Olympian, and that didn't quite transpire. But he turned professional shortly after his 1971 ABA win, and his career progressed nicely. 1974, he beat Tim Wood to become the British Southern Area Heavyweight Champion. But you wait, just keep patiently, and I'll explain why this man would have been King of the Gypsies of his day, right? In my opinion, and when I lay the facts down, I think there's a good chance you'll agree, right? Let's focus on the man himself. What was he like away from boxing? I'm very privileged to know Les Stevens, a very, in fact, a quiet man. You almost had to make the approach, as opposed to him approaching. He was quite a quiet man that sit back, and you would see his presence. Very big man, good looking man that could have maybe been a bit good looking for boxing, even arguably some would say, yeah. Could have maybe been starring in a mafia movie or something. Dark appearance, Les. It's a big fine man, lovely man. He take me on the pads once become a great trainer. We'll touch on that later. One sparring session, one pad session in, and I'd already learned something within a few minutes. But let's focus on back to his boxing. Why would Les Stevens have been King of the Gypsies? He was a boxer. What took him out the ring? What could have? Well, not much. But on a few occasions, fellow Romani travellers tried their luck, and Les had put the case at ease with ease. Yeah. These guys weren't in his league, and they weren't, if any, in his league. Again, so there's a great story I like. He's in his prime, on the edge of still a fit man, right on the tail end of his boxing career. And this fellow wants to come and fight the best traveller. He's actually a trained SAS man, and he wants to come and fight the best Romani Gypsy around. So he's got wind of Johnny Frankham. He's gone around his area, and before he can meet John, Les says, "Oh, this fellow, come down. He's heard of John," and John's in his normal attire. He's not even there. Before he can approach and get to the place, John's got wind of it. Before he can get to this place, this SAS fella says, "Les, what did you want?" He said, "Well, I want to fight the best traveller out there," he says. So John and Les, really close mates. They didn't put a number on each other, who was better and who was better. That was not the way. They were just good, close friends, almost like brothers for many years. And so they said, "Well, you want to fight a Gypsy? Well, let's not put numbers on this. Let's have a go." So the SAS man, really fit, trained, super guy. Let's travel for miles to actually come and challenge one of the leading top Gypsy fighters, and he picked Les Stevens, and that was enough. He was put to bed with ease. Really trained eye-hen SAS men can go into various places, do some crazy things that a normal man couldn't do. But I'm afraid he was trained in that field, not in this field. Les Stevens had taken care of business with ease. But let me explain why he would have been King of the Gypsies, Southern Area Champion. He actually went the distance, full route distance, 10 rounds, with a fighter called Jimmy Young. Now, Jimmy Young, for you younger viewers out there, how good was Jimmy Young? Jimmy Young beat the great George Foreman, yes, the George Foreman, Yes, that was massive favourite that knocked out Joe Frazier, beat Ken Norton, and was massive favourite to beat Muhammad Ali, the George Foreman that regained the world heavyweight title at the age of 45. Jimmy Young had beaten him. Was that a fluke? Was it an aging George Foreman? Of course it wasn't an aging George Foreman, it was prime George Foreman. He lost one fight, yeah, and he lost 2 fights when he met Jimmy Young. Was this any fluke? He boxed the great Muhammad Ali, Jimmy Young, and had a cracking fight, very close fight. Muhammad Ali's way, all 3 judges, but in some people's opinion, very close. Was this any more of a fluke? Do you need any more of a fluke? One of the judges gave him against the great Ken Norton, who had beaten Ali once and broken his jaw. One of the judges had given it to Jimmy Young. This is how good Jimmy Young was. Ali, Foreman, yeah, and Norton. He was holding his own with these guys. One judge giving it to him, 3 judges giving it against Foreman. Really close fight for the world heavyweight title. He takes on a travelling boy from Reading, Berkshire, in London, 10 rounds. Wins the fight, very competitive fight, but Stevens sees all the way through with ease. He was never in doubt getting stopped. It was a close fight. It was a good close fight. He gave almost as good as he got against a man of this class. In fact, he actually told me, he said, I momentarily retired from boxing because I boxed. He said, I didn't think I boxed my best against Jimmy Young. And then just a short while after, he said, when I see him beat George Foreman, he went, hold on a minute, maybe that performance wasn't too bad, yeah. And back up there and out there he was. And if further to cement this, arguably Britain's best ever light heavyweight was John Conte. A lot of people, Freddie Mills, John Conte, you know, Calzaghe and the sort of the super middle now, which would have been the old light heavy. But John Conte was right up there, out there. And he was built to fight Les. It didn't happen. Les Stevens had injured his arm. Then it was promised an eliminator, a British eliminator. Of course, Conte was flitting up and down from the heavyweight and light heavy. He went up and down, you know, before there was no cruiserweight in these days. And eventually they got this fight on. And I'm going to show a little bit of this fight. I'm going to show you some clippings there. But Les Stevens went full 10 rounds with Conte. But not only went the full 10 rounds, it was a spin of a kind. It really, really was a close fight. And I've watched the fight on numerous occasions and very, very close. Maybe Conte just nicked it, and that's the way I saw it. He nicked it by, I think it was half point. So sometimes in Britain we used to do half points in them days. A lot of you people might not remember that. And I think it was given to Conte by the narrower margins, yeah. So this is, now we take this out into why we've been king of the gypsies. You know, if you can stand with men that beat Foreman, Ali, you know, and hold your ground with them and hold your own, and a quite lovely, nice man, but when he took his stuff out the ring, he could also do that. No, please don't take politeness as a weakness here, please, because some people did come unstuck. He actually went for the right word, bit down on his gum shield. I think he had a boxing show somewhere in Berkshire. I think it was called Blue Mountain. And there's a little golf club there, and they had a nice boxing venue there. And anyway, the great late Les Stevens had, so to speak, bit down on his gum shield, gritted his teeth, you know. An altercation happened out of disrespecting the junior boxers because he spent his whole life in boxing, did Les. And he just went to work. He just kicked off outside, and it was reported he literally knocked around 10 different people as they were coming. They went bang, bang, bash, 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 boom, boom, boom. You know, in his way, a bit faster than that, a bit harder than that. But as they come, they were going over like skittles. You ever played skittles? Like a 10-pin bowling, over, over, over. So a serious, serious man. The situation with the SAS men, a few other Romanis, you know, you're battling family disputes, you tried your luck, failed miserably. Serious, serious man out the ring. Didn't look a scary man. Looked a man of style and class, which he was. But he was a real deal, a seriously trained athlete. To say he could stand with Jimmy Young, John Conte.
Pulling it apart straight away. It's a miss right by Stevens and the gun shield's gone. Picked up by Conte's manager in the corner. Very good round for Stevens this. Putting some good punches together. He's got the crowd behind him too.
And the ability to go out. Of course, he's born a Romani, it's in his blood. He could fight from a little boy outside, inside. He's been king of the gypsies. I'm telling you right here, right now. In them decades, would anybody have stood with him around that time? If any, I'm telling you now, not many. You think of all the fighters you could think of out there, and who could have stood, traded with Big Les Stevens, yeah, outside on the cobbles, when he can fight the world's best fighters. He ended his career with 5 defeats, 20 wins, 5 defeats. I think it's 25 fights. It's on BoxRec there, and I'll just put a bit up on BoxRec just to show. But never hit the canvas, never stopped. Just a real hard man, a gentleman. He also had broken the record, and the record is still stands today. The only father-son heavyweights. It could even be the only father-son ABA champion, but certainly heavyweights. His son Blue Stevens. I know Blue a bit. Don't know these boys well, but nice boys. Blue and Les, lovely fellas when I see them around. You know, we shared moments in the boxing gyms and whatever. Lovely boys, all good fighters, grandsons as well. And as a record that stands with the man, the great man, and very sadly, in 2020, I think it was the 25th of April, he sadly passed away with COVID. It was right around the same time I myself went in with COVID. It was a horrible situation. I went in badly, double pneumonia. So I knew what was going on, and it was just a terrible time. And Les had never been a big drinker, hardly ever drunk, hardly ever. Like he actually told me once, he maybe had a little drink here and there after his dad had passed, being really close with his dad, Uncle Blue, who I met. Yeah, lovely old man, bless him. He said, but he hardly ever drank in his life, and smoked, no, never. A fit man, a big, strong man. And I remember around the same time, that damn poxy disease, that we all felt robbed when we lost loved ones, because it wasn't an illness we knew. It's someone that come from nowhere. And sadly, had taken a big, strong, the great late Les Stevens. And it was around a time we were all locked up and shut up, and I would no way I missed his funeral, but it was all such closed shop and closed doors. I weren't even aware of it. You couldn't even take to the street. I think the fighters did take to the streets, and I'd have been part of that. So yeah, it was a lovely man. I remember him and his wife, Aunt Aggie, as I referred to. We had a lovely night out once, real pleasant chat. She was spent some time with my wife, and we were just having a lovely chat. Just a nice man. And this is my tribute to a man who stayed on in boxing, give his life to boxing. The amount of youths he kept off the streets. You know, to the other side. You know, we talk about how hard he was, what he was. A lot what he given back. He was the pioneer of Pinewood Star. He was the boy. He was the man. He was so respected all over the country. He loved his amateur boxing. He loved his pro boxing. He was known as a gentleman. He took it all the way through, and he gives so much to boys. You know, so many champions he created. Amateur boys went on to be professionals. Like the Collins brothers, Georgie and Tony, they were leading professionals who were relatives to Les. But these are just two that's come to mind. Numerous amounts of amateur champions, but more importantly, the real satisfaction he got from that was that he helped so many people, kids off the streets and whatnot, you know, and their life could have been that way. And you know, 5 or 6 years of discipline, a boxing example, suddenly the boys then start proper life, proper family. So how many people he saved? And but he just loved the boxing, and he recognised that. He was recognised for it, but he didn't want recognition for it. But it was such a big loss to the boxing world, obviously to his family. That stands first and foremost, but it was such a big loss to the boxing world and the sport that he loved. And it's my way of saying to a lovely man that I knew and met, and I had a pleasure of calling him a friend. He'd actually watched me box a couple of times, and he said some pleasantries to me one night which really made my head go a bit bigger than it was, coming from such a legend and a gentleman. So to Les, a man who I believe truly would have been, arguably king of the gypsies in his day, no doubt, you know. park his form up against all the heavyweights. You know, you stand against Jimmy Young, John Conti, and hold your own, and you bottle that up. When it does go wrong out there, you could use it to serious effect. But as a man, it was just sat in the corner, always well presented, dressed immaculately well, pleasant man. As I say, larger than life in appearance, but not in noise. Very quiet character, lovely man, quite gentleman. So my tribute to one of the king of the gypsies. This is my tribute in absence of his funeral. I'll always remember you fondly, and the boxing world did sadly lose out when you passed away aged 69. Yeah, so my tribute to you, Big Les Stevens, Reading, King of the Gypsies, British Southern Area champion, ABA heavyweight champion, Commonwealth representative, stood toe to toe with two of the greatest fighters ever, and he didn't do too badly. My tribute. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in.